So what did you call us? A clown show?
Yeah, I said living with you guys is like being in a clown show.
Why?
Well, today, the three of you can't stand up without toppling over. Like, you know those goats that when you scare them, they freeze and fall over? That's literally what watching you guys get up from a sitting position is like. You get up, you stop, and then you kind of sway a little bit, and then you got to hold on to something. When I came upstairs, one of the children was laying on the floor because she got up and needed to lay back down. So, like, if anybody else was to see our children without context, they would swear they were malnourished, like we were abusing them, because they just randomly, I gotta sit down, I gotta fall over.
And one actually has recently. And when you pass out, it is straight back.
Yeah.
It is not. We actually saw somebody pass out the other day on TV, and it was like a side.
You got control.
No, it is. You are straight back onto your head.
Yeah, it's like when my buddy Casey passed out. Shout out to Casey Coop.
And Maya, not too long ago.
Yeah.
But
fell right in front of his trifold. Remember those old, huge trifolds that they make you use for science fairs and stuff? Yeah, he was presenting at the front of the class and just bam, right in, and it closed over him like a casket. It's the scariest part of grade 6. Dude died and went to heaven right in front of us. And then we went for recess.
Yeah, he didn't actually.
No, he just passed out because he was so nervous about presenting whatever it was on his trifold that he smashed into. Yeah.
We're anemic though. There's a medical reason.
Always a reason. You guys are chaotic, it's ADHD. You fall over, it's anemia. Always something.
All right. Well, hey, we keep your life interesting, I guess.
That is true. That is true. I kind of feel like, what's the dude's name from Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Which one, Alvin?
The dude, the guy.
Oh, David? Dave?
Dave. I'm Dave. You're the Chipmunks. That's how it is. Yeah.
Which one am I? Probably Alvin. I'm a little bit of all. Not the little guy. I'm a little bit Theodore, but mostly Alvin. Let's do this thing. It's going to be fantastic.
Is Theodore the smart one?
Yes.
And Simon's the good-natured one?
Yeah.
Right.
Mine's probably Theodore. I don't know.
I think they're a bit of both. I think all three of you are a combination.
Yeah.
But you're not the female chipmunks because they weren't enjoyable to watch. You should have just stuck with the 3 other ones. But anyways.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So what's on tap today?
So I got a quiz for you. Not a quiz, but we talked recently in the past about bullying and how it's paints everything as a bullying situation. But I came across an article about a Nordic program that was instituted in Pennsylvania, an anti-bullying campaign. So I guess there was 3 Norwegian students that killed themselves. And as they investigated, they realized that because they were likely victims of severe bullying. So the Norwegian government commissioned a program to be put in. I think you probably already know about it, but it's called the Olweus Program. So anyways, I won't get into the details. We can link everything in the show notes. But there was a couple of things in the article that was interesting. One, and this is where the quiz comes in. Do you know how many times? So a woman who has been bullied as a child is how many more times likely to have a panic disorder as a young adult?
7.
27 times more likely.
Wow.
And then among men, childhood bullying resulted in how much of an increase, like an X-fold increase in suicidal ideation and action?
22.
Close, 18.
Wow.
So the interesting part about this is based on the conversation we had before. I think we brush too many things with bullying, right? But there is legitimately instances of it. So this program, when they brought it in, I guess a Pennsylvania school board brought it in, and they found, and this is the interesting part, I don't really know where this conversation is going to go, so we'll go wherever. But what was really interesting about this was they found when they instituted this program, which is awareness and anti-bullying messaging and just trying to basically make people understand the effects and stuff, they immediately, even if it was only in place for a week or two, saw a massive decrease in actual instances of it across the entire school board, like
Wow.
in the thousands, like 2,000 less incidents or something like that reported as soon as they put this program into place. So I guess the question that comes to mind is, and I know you believe in the Nordic education system as a whole anyways.
I love Finland. We should all adopt Finland's education system. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, so Norway, Finland, right, the Scandinavian countries and stuff, they're just, I guess the question is, why are we not, like, how would we look at bringing some of this in? Or is there even any benefit overall if studies like this are showing that they're making headway in things that we just continue to.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I'm always thinking, why aren't we? I was at a school not too long ago, just a week or two ago, and I had mentioned Finland, and everyone turned to one teacher, and he's like, "Yes, it's so validating. I'm already doing this in my classroom." And and it's hard because we are in North America stuck on standardized testing. All kids get the exact same test to, measure their merit. Um, I think a lot of it's just political is the only thing that I can think of really at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this stuff, everyone will say, "Hey, we've got anti-bullying,
Yeah.
campaigns, and we have zero tolerance of bullying." So I guess my question for you right now is, do you know what is entailed in that program? And do we want to stick, sorry,
No,
so I don't derail it, with bullying, or just in general, like, why aren't we using?
well, I guess that's it. Like, no, I don't know the exact details. And this came out of a BBC article or something that was basically reporting on it. And I've got a link to it. Like, there's an actual APA paper on it that breaks it all down, which I'm sure you could translate for everybody. But the gist of it is essentially is more around the awareness piece, right? The components of making kids aware of it, and then from there, the actions. I don't, maybe I should research it more, but it was just a headline that came across. I think what got me, I guess the bigger point of it is, or one of the bigger points is, in the article, there's research both from this program and external to this program that shows not only just a psychological impact over time, but an actual physical component to it, right? Like one of them, and again, we'll link this article so everybody can read it, but one of them was between the ages of 5 and 11 or 7 and 11, if you're bullied, there is a 50 times increase in suffering from inflammation physically around the age of 45. So the effects of the mental anguish manifest themselves over time as a physical component. And it strikes me as like, I guess as this relates to kids and families and parents, I guess the point that I took away from this is my dismissal of bullying as a catch-all. I still stand by it. I think we're very quick to paint things as one thing because everybody tries to simplify a message down to its core. But what struck me as odd about this is that it's obvious that there's a need for it, but I don't know that people understand the full scope of why or how they should do it. I guess is the bigger question, like the bigger point that I took away from it, because someone saying one thing to you that you don't like isn't bullying, right? Someone repeatedly going after you and saying things, right, is
like
bullying.
Our daughter with one of the coaches who's being singly targeted and singled out.
It appears to be.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing that we need to watch out for. And I just want to go back to like the mind body piece, even though we know like the Eastern medicine has known for thousands of years and we are aware of it, but we're still not practicing. But the effects of anxiety and sadness and, our mental well-being directly affects our body to the point that it actually changes genes. So they've even shown how, well, mothers, we know when mothers are under stress, that actually affects the gene development of babies but also fathers. Stressed fathers, their sperm are altered and it directly changes genes. Plus, the environment, it's not even the genes that we're born with epigenetics. We just know the stresses in our environment can change and influence our genes and create inflammation. And we're seeing so many more um, uh, autoimmune diseases than
Yeah.
ever before. And a lot of it has to do with our emotional, mental well-being. All this to say, I mean, with bullying specifically, I think a big piece of it is it's too normalized, meaning
The act or
no. So like people will say, oh, it's normal. It happens everywhere,
oh, I see what you mean.
right?
Yeah.
It's just a normal part of childhood. I was bullied, like kids are bullied. It's just part of growing up. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Yes, it happens a lot, but we can't equate prevalence with normal. It is not normal. It is not healthy. It should not be happening. It is happening far too much.
Yeah.
But so that's the big piece is we need to take it more seriously. But you're right. Like it's understanding what bullying is.
Well, and that was going to be my follow-up question. I don't disagree, but I think maybe what the point of what caught me about this article and what I guess the question is here is it's not that it doesn't exist and we shouldn't do anything with it, or it's how do we as parents learn to understand the difference between bullying and just a single isolated incident,
Mhm.
right? Or what is the criteria for bullying? Because right now, bullying is anything that makes someone feel bad in any capacity, as I understand it. And maybe there are different regulations and rules and policies, whatever. But at the same time, there's this huge amount of it's almost like double edged, right? In the sense that we see a ton of people calling everything bullying.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, we also see a considerable amount of inaction when actual bullying is happening.
Right.
Like it's the weirdest thing. Like it's almost like people want to be able to say, I don't support bullying. But it's like, okay, well, I'm witnessing what I would consider to be bullying. What are you going to do about it? Well, it's so difficult because I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's like thoughts and prayers.
Right.
It's exactly like thoughts and prayers. Oh my God, I can't believe this horrible catastrophe happened. Thoughts and prayers. That's useless. Thoughts and prayers does nothing, right? Great. You now feel good about yourself because you've put out in the universe that you are thinking of this but you're really not doing anything.
Right.
You're going on with your day going, I'm great. I took care of that, but you didn't, right? So saying that you're against bullying and then witnessing it and dismissing it to your point, saying, well, it's normal or it's whatever.
Or suck it up.
Yeah. Right. So how do you learn, or how do we as parents look? And I guess it comes down to we have to understand our kid. We have to understand the challenge that they're in the middle of. And we have to figure out what the effect it is having on them is, and then take appropriate measures.
Yeah.
Right.
So just looking at the dictionary definition of bullying, it's to seek harm, intimidate, or coerce someone perceived as vulnerable. So it's that intentional act. I'm going because I do see you as more vulnerable than me.
Yeah.
Trying to hurt you, whether it's physically, emotionally, whatever. So that's important that we differentiate, because I see it all the time where I have parents will say, oh, they're being bullied. Well, no, it's just that there's a kid in their class. It's usually a neurodivergent kid who something about your child is really setting off their sensory needs. And it's not to say that your child needs to do things differently,
No.
but it's, the other child isn't intentionally going and bullying them. They're just set off. They don't have emotion regulation, right? And so then they lash out. And I know that that's happened with, I think it turned into bullying, like with Willow. I think that there was just a kid who did have hard time with emotion regulation, and she's a button pusher, man. And he would lash out, but then it would turn out into attacks. And then he was singling her out. So with bullying, it's not just a one-time incident, it's the repetition. You said that, right? Like it's more than once. It's not a one-off occurrence. There is that power imbalance.
Yeah.
So we need to look at that as well. So if it's a little kid standing up for something, that's different too, with the intent to harm. the duration, it's persisting over time, and that impact, the social, emotional, physical. So those are the pieces that we're looking at. This is true bullying.
Yeah.
And so we want to, as parents, track that piece, right? To be able to say, is this an ongoing incident? So maybe it's not too long monitoring. We're not going to go for
No,
years and
no.
years.
But I think it's duration and frequency, right? Like if it's happening every day, it's very easy to diagnose it. If it happens once a semester or once a school year, yeah, that to me is more, they're just getting into it. Someone's having a bad day, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that repetitive piece falls off the longer it is between incidents, right? So you're not going to look at something and go, well, every year for 10 years, they've gotten into a fight. Well, that's not bullying. That's just,
Yeah.
they get at each other once in a while.
Yeah.
That's interesting, though. I mean, that's a good way of putting it because it is that power imbalance. That's a really interesting way of putting it because you're right. And it's funny because,
Perceived or otherwise.
yeah, exactly. Because I've seen someone that perceived a power imbalance get taken to the tool shed because they went after someone and the reaction was not what they expected, right? And I'm not advocating for violence, but there was a degree back in the day where, yeah, if you picked on someone, it was going to go one of two ways. You were going to get your way and pick on them, right? And then move on. Or you were going to get absolutely tuned up because you picked on the wrong kid. That doesn't exist anymore for a variety of reasons, and a lot of them valid, right? Like we don't want that, right? We don't want kids doing that, but also we don't give them the opportunity to understand how to stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
And part of it is systematically, they don't want to stand up for themselves because they'll be in trouble, right? It's very interesting to me because there is no winner in those situations because our system, and I'm sure other school systems are different. We've talked about it before. They punish both parties.
Yeah.
Right? A kid could be walking down the hall and get picked on and both of them get in trouble.
Yeah.
We've seen it countless times.
And a lot of the kids that I work with, that's it. They are at the receiving end of bullying, true bullying.
Yeah.
And they do try to stand up for themselves and
then get called out for acting out.
Or seek help.
Yep.
And
yeah. And so that is interesting because I don't know that we have a mechanism in place to help the kids themselves identify it because we paint everything as bullying and we paint both parties as at fault.
Right. Which is tricky.
Yeah.
And you know, like parents stepping in isn't like, unless you're Tony Soprano, you're not going to make things better. And I say that only because, you know.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for anybody wondering where that really relevant pop culture reference came from, my wife finally started to watch Sopranos with the kid. I'm kidding.
I watched Sopranos when it was on.
You watched the entire thing?
Well, no, because I was videoing it because I was busy on my VHS tapes, and my brother went and filmed over all of my VHS tapes.
That was a deliberate act against you where he had a perceived power imbalance.
Yes.
Your brother's a bully.
Yes, he was.
Full circle.
And so now I am rewatching it. And there was a kid who was picking on Tony's son. And Tony didn't even step in, but just through association, the parents are like, kid, you got to stop picking on this other kid. But that doesn't happen in real life. They're not going to back down. They're just going to go more secretive about it, about the bullying, right?
Well, and then you add in the online piece, right? Like we're framing this right now as a schoolyard thing, and it's not anymore. It's not anymore. And that in the parents' defense makes it really hard.
It does. And especially because I've seen where kids are creating false or like pseudo accounts so that they can post all this crap, even though you might have it, you know, you might know who it is, or the kid has an idea of who it is, but there's no concrete proof. And so there's nothing you can do. So yeah, I mean, I am one for, they do need to learn assertiveness. They do need to learn how to protect themselves, to avoid the situation in the first place, how to seek help in ways that are going to be helpful. Like those are things that they're going to have to do because we don't have control over other kids.
No.
But I mean, on the larger picture, and I know we've talked about this lots before, like the schools really do need to do more about it. Full stop.
Well, and they need to be, they won't though, is the problem, because they're in a position now where they're boards, right, their governing bodies don't want the liability associated with taking a stand.
Well, and they're burnt out. Like I do
Yeah.
recognize, right? Like the cutbacks, the lack of funding, the large classrooms, and they're burnt out. And that 15 minutes that they get for recess or whatever it is, because I mean, ultimately, that's a big piece of a lot of the recommendations that I have for our kids' well-being. It involves teachers being active during those breaks,
Yeah.
right? And stepping in and being peer mentors and being peer buddies during lunch and recess. And it's just not going to happen
No.
because they just don't have the manpower for it, right? So
Yeah.
it's tricky.
Well, and it's interesting because I think the irony, of course, is that the more we cut back on the educational system, the more we create these problems that we're dealing with daily now because of it, right? A highly educated population is typically a more balanced and more accepting and just positive culture. We don't have that. We keep cutting back those things that foster that, right?
And then just all the policies, like in Alberta, there's just new trans policies that just came down. And it's just, for a lot of these kids, I find the bullying's not just happening at the schoolyard, it's also happening at home too. And like, I just worry about all of these kids. I guess I'm just frustrated with the whole world because you're right. There's so many things. Sorry, I'm emotional, but I just don't know what to do anymore,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm burnt out trying to help support these kids, and I just feel like I'm up against all these barriers. And like, why we know what works, we know what kids need, we know what the education system needs, but we've got these. I don't know if they're corrupt, but we've got these terrible governments and terrible policies, and uh, I don't know because we do know what every kid needs, bullying aside, right? Just emotionally what these kids need. And it's exhausting. The best thing we can do at the end of the day, I mean, I've got lots of ideas what to do with bullying, but I just know it's not going to make a difference. I've tried.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to this podcast, then you're probably a parent who is willing to try to change your behavior because that's a huge piece of all of this too. It's just creating the environment when things come home. Like Maya last night was so upset because her coach, one of her coaches is truly singling her out to the point that other kids are standing up for her. Like, no, like but anyway, it just makes him angrier. But we came home and we didn't lecture. We just created that safe space for her to come and talk
Mm-hmm.
and just to be. We're not trying to fix it. We're not trying to reassure. We're not trying to lecture. We're not dismissing it. We're just creating that safe space so that kids have some place to come to. So even if there is bullying happening, and I suspect it's probably not even just kids.
Oh,
It's probably teachers too and other people in their life. And so just always being on their side. They just need to know you're always on their side no matter what. Even if they fail a test, right? And they come home and we love them no matter what. The family is the number one protective factor from all of the trauma and adversity that's out there. So that's the best that I got,
yeah.
like it's just loving them and hugging them and holding them.
Yeah. In a world of dickheads, don't be one.
Yeah.
Right? That's the simplest way. And it's really interesting to me because it's I don't even know if it's interesting. It's just I've kind of come to the realization that I don't understand how crappy, hurtful, bad policies can be pushed through and adopted so quickly, and yet anything that's intended to make things better is immovable and never seems to stick. And like, I just don't understand that, right? Like, and to your point, we see what we should do, we see what needs to happen, but it's always impossible, right? It's always deemed too hard, or it's not worth it, or you just said it yourself, I've tried and it doesn't work, right? And yet we see what just came through from legislation this week it hammered through in a few weeks.
Mhm.
It's there. It's in
It's like
place.
she had one meeting with these terrible politicians from Florida and, from the United States who
Well, and
are
it's
terrible human beings. And like a week later,
yeah,
all these changes are happening.
yeah. It's mind-boggling to me how it's so hard to enact positive stuff and so easy to put in malicious stuff. Like it's just so, to your point, if it's that hard out there to make these changes. And here's the thing that really annoys me about the population in general. If you can rationalize something, a crappy policy, and you go, yeah, but you're an a-hole. You're part of the problem, right? Because what you're looking for is you're not looking for a common solution to help people. You're just truly trying to take out whatever sadness and whatever isn't going well in your life on someone else, right? And I see that more and more and more and more. Like, and it's to me, it's an offshoot of what we're already talking about, right? Like it's just this continuation of what I would consider to be bullying,
Mm-hmm.
Overall.
And I'm just going to say one more political thing, but then I'll come back to the family because that's where we do make
Yeah.
change, really,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, right? But with the political piece, this government is, talking all about mental health and supporting mental health, but they dumped $10 million with one person who we've now never seen. I have no idea. I've never seen. And I've been doing searching and trying to find where did that money actually go to support all of the students across Alberta. And I have no idea. And this one psychology, and it was a psychology agency, where did that money go? $10 million, right? Like it's just so frustrating. But anyways, it does come back to the family. That's where we can, at least at the ground level, try to create change for our own family and our own children and, what we can. But just going back to my point, it's not just waiting to when they come upset from something. It's about just every day, like how much we're picking at them too, and it's not even bullying, but just if we're always giving them corrective feedback and negative feedback, that eats away at them as well, right? Even it's like, go clean your room, go pick up poo, go. And I know we do that as well. And parents are burnt out. Like everyone's just burnt out. I just feel like we need a reset.
Yeah.
Like worldwide social media screens are just something happens. It gets blown up somehow. And
so you're talking about Thanos. We need Thanos to come and snap and all the bad stuff goes away. Is that it?
Maybe, yeah, actually, you know what? Like he was maybe onto something. I don't know, but
well, that's not where I expected this to go. Thanos, bad guy or just misunderstood? Yeah, yeah, I get it. I think these topics that we pick apart in isolation are part of a bigger issue, which is exactly that. Everybody's feeling the pressure. Everybody is feeling put upon. Everybody is dealing with these things. But unless you make a conscious effort to stop that and create a place where you yourself feel comfortable enough to relax and then show your kids that same support and kind of, whatever it is, it's not going to change. You're just going to send angry, vengeful kids out into the world that are going to repeat the problem because you're demonstrating it, right? And I'm not saying that everybody on this is demonstrating, obviously, but yeah, it really does come down to figure it out for yourself. Show your kids how to do that. There is a safe place that they can come hang out and relax and feel comfortable with, and then work with them on how they take that with them every day.
And then if you have a kid who's bullying, but I don't know if parents would own up to that because just looking at this one coach, I guess we should be careful, but I just think sometimes the bullying kids are also supported by bullying parents.
If not supported, they're mimicking
or modeling. Yeah, like the parents are modeling that behavior. But
my kids are sarcastic jerks sometimes because my wife is a sarcastic jerk. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but it's true, right? They take our tendencies on, whether we intend for it or not. So, and if you always think it's someone else in every situation, take a beat and just be like, oh, there's a really great Key and Peele sketch where this dude there's two guys working in an office and one of them is flamboyantly gay and the others, not. And the one guy, just every time the guy says something, the flamboyant guy loses it and says that, he's accusing this guy of being, anti-gay and blah, 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 blah. And as the skit goes on, finally, this third guy walks into frame, looks at the non-flamboyant guy and says, "You ready to go, hun?" And they're like, "Yeah," gets up, gives him a kiss. And the two dudes leave. So the flamboyant guy never realized that the other guy was gay. So he turns and the skit ends with going, "Oh, I'm just an a-hole." Like it's that realization, right? But so many people leave the house feeling like everybody else is the problem. Well, that's an impossible thing.
Mhm.
Everybody else is not the problem. How you interact with them and perceive them is your problem. And if it's always negative, I got a surprise for you.
That's true.
Right. And I'm not saying you can't get annoyed and there's not idiots out there and whatever, but if every single interaction you have with another person, you think that they're an idiot, maybe take a little step back and do a little introspection.
Yeah. I just heard a great analogy the other day. I'm going to mess it up, and I don't even know if I can explain it, but it was something like traffic, like cars are not the problem in traffic. It was along those, but yeah, like we focus and blame all on the wrong things. We put all of our attention on it. But that's just the only other side, is when kids are the bullies. I also just wonder about how much they're being loved at home, and how much they feel like they belong in the classroom, in the school, in their own home, in the community.
Yeah, and it can manifest itself in a lot of ways. It's not overtly, picking on your kid or being negative. It's things like being insanely competitive about stuff that doesn't matter, right? To put pressure on the kid, that pushes through. I see so many parents and I'm like, dude, relax. Like there was a tournament here where we showed up to go support my old teammates who were trying to play into the final, and we showed up and caught the last few minutes of the game. And as I walked in, one of the parents I know said, "Oh, it's good that you're here. Dan might need a bodyguard." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it turns out that one of the spectators for the other team, who turns out to be the coach's father, okay, so a grown-ass person coaching the other team, their elderly dad came to the rink specifically,
So
grandpa, to yell and insult the goalie of our friends' teams. And so the goalie's dad,
who was the kid?
Yeah,
like these are kids.
Yeah, 16, 17 years old. And was openly calling him an effing loser and how do you like that and banging on the glass, until the goalie's dad came over and said, "You want to tone it down?" And the guy told him to go F himself and that he'd take care of him if he kept talking to him. I'm like, this is a 65-year-old dude. So you woke up that morning and said, "I'm going to go pick on a kid and I'm going to start a fight with that kid's dad."
A theater kid.
Who's a theater kid, yeah. Who's a theater kid. But it's unreal to me that these are the decisions that people are rationalizing these days, right? And so while I still stand by, you can't paint everything as bullying, you can sure paint a lot of people as a certain type of person, right? But it all comes down to operate in a way that conveys positivity both to your kids and to other people. And just accept the fact that you're not going to be perfect all the time with it, but always try and endeavor to be better and see where it gets you.
And purposefully, like if you're going to think of something specific to do, try to have more positive interactions with your kid in a day than negative.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like start tallying, start filling up that emotional piggy bank instead of withdrawing.
Yeah.
For every one that you take out, you should be putting 15 in, really. I mean, it's a 15 to 1. So just like if you balance your checkbook, we do not. I don't know if people actually do, but if you do, it's the same thing, right? With your kid's emotional bank account. That's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a bit of a wild ride. We've been on a lot of different places, but
now I just feel exhausted with heaviness.
If I'll leave everybody with a parting word, it's remember the prophets Bill and Ted. Just be excellent to each other. For anybody that's under or just in their 20s, you need to go back and watch a movie called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure to get that reference. All the old people that listen to this will know it. Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
Good day.